figure out the issue?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for joining us this evening. This is going to be rather ad hoc, but hopefully it will be helpful. I'm pulling up right now a slide. Can you all see my screen? I am sharing, right? Yep. So what I'm showing you now is a sample of a slide that I would recommend that you use for each of your meetings. I've edited this to make it my own. Obviously, you would do the same. So if you read, well, obviously you read the email or you wouldn't be here tonight. So the biggest change we've made in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours is that you no longer have to feel compelled to use your WebEx private room for your one-on-one sessions. If you would prefer to make your own phone number public and you don't mind people having access to and dialing that number, you can use that instead. Everything else is pretty much the same, but we're hoping that that change will make it easier for those of you who are not necessarily as comfortable with the technology.
So just Bill and Krista, can I ask, are you comfortable with that?
Use it with using my own phone number or?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I don't care.
Because I just want to remind you that the yellow schedule is HIPAA compliant. So they've gone through a process. So it's just a very few people that would have your number. So if you want the easiest, quickest way, that would be it. But Dave came up with another also way. But
so
putting it out there.
Wendy, what I'd like to do is try to make the first part of this session, starting right now, just straight through a run through of the process.
Yep.
And then save Q&A to the end so that we can use this on YouTube, not only for this group, but for future groups. So I'm going to try to go through as quickly as possible, and I'm pretty much going to go by the document that I sent you, the facilitated discussions Word document that you have a link to in that email, and go straight through the setup process, setting up your personal meeting room if you want to. Now that's going to be optional going forward. Setting up Yellow Schedule, and then actually logging into the WebEx event, and then what it's going to be like to do the one-on-ones. So I want to go through the whole thing straight through, beginning to end, in order to get through everything in this one session and to make this as convenient as possible for anyone that's watching this on YouTube. I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. And if you have any specific questions, if you can save them to the end, I think that will work best. I normally like to make these things interactive, but I just think that'll work best for this evening. Is that okay, Wendy? Now Wendy's on mute. That's okay. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks. Okay. So the first part of the setup, I switched these around from the previous setup instructions. We're going to do the WebEx personal meeting room first. And again, if you're planning on using your cell phone number, which is going to be just showing right here, and you're just going to give this out, and that's what people are going to dial in at their scheduled time to do the one-on-ones, you don't even need to worry about this part that we're doing right now. For those of you who want to either have your a private number that is not your personal cell phone number or your personal landline or office number or whatever, you want to use a separate number just for this event, then or if you want the additional functionality of having the WebEx private room, that's where we're going to do this right now. So I'm just going to show you what that process looks like. Once you log into your WebEx, this is blimeetings.webex.com, using the BLI credentials that we assigned to you, whatever email address you gave us, whatever password you used when you activated that account. This is the way it's going to look. By default, you should be coming into Modern View. You can confirm that you're in Modern View by looking in the upper right-hand corner here, and you should see Classic View as an option. If it says Classic View as an option, that means you're currently in Modern View. Seems a little unintuitive, but that's the way it works. So what we're going to do now is we're going to change our preferences, just clicking on the preferences link on the left. And the specific settings that we want to change right now are in My Personal Room. So I'm going to click on My Personal Room link. First thing we're going to change is our URL. This is what's going to be displayed for anyone that wants to meet you in your private room using their computer. And all you need to do is make sure that the end of your URL is the first name followed by the last name. First name followed by last name. No spaces, no dashes, no nothing else. It should be exactly the same as your first name and last name as displayed up in the personal room right above. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that the check mark next to automatic lock is checked and that the time displayed is 0 minutes. This is what's going to keep your room private and allow you to control who enters at what time so that you can make sure there's only ever one person in there at a time. I would also just recommend, this should be off by default, but just double check and make sure that alternate host is turned off. You do not want anyone else to ever be the host in your private room. So make sure that's empty and then click on save. Once you've saved that, there's one more place you need to go, and this is to set up your general conference link. I'm going to go back into preferences. And for this one, we're going to be changing settings in the audio and video tab. So I'm going to click on that. And this is very simple. And I hope you guys can appreciate the potential here. I mean, this is a phone number that is going to be for you, that you can use really at your leisure, at your convenience, for any professional work you want to do, professional training work you want to do. So this is one of the advantages of being one of our BLI WebEx trainers. To set that up, under the personal conference number section or personal conferencing section here, all you have to do is click on the generate account link. I've already done that once, so now you can see that I have two. I have an account 1 and I have an account 2. You only need one. I'm going to delete that. You only need one, and you now have your own toll number, a US toll number. And this is the number you're going to put in your PowerPoint for this EY presentation if you want those folks to be calling this number instead of your own cell phone. Let me just see where I'm at here.
I just want to add, though, just please remember that this is only for BLI use. Our insurance is very strict about that. If you need to use it for some other purpose, you need to write me a waiver. So I know Dave is graciously offering it, but this is only for BLI. And that's I spent a lot of the day on your insurance, the issue, and I know this is being recorded. So it's only used when you are working with a BLI provider or client. Thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification. Okay, and then the only other thing you need to do from here is we're going to go back to home, which is where you were in the first place. And this is anytime you ever forget what phone number you're using or what account access number, your event code, you can always go back to home and click on the More Ways to Join Here link, and that's going to give you both your phone number and your access code. And that's all anyone needs to be able to reach you when you have your personal room open. Phone number and access code. And you'll notice back on my PowerPoint presentation that I have both indicated here because I do want to use my my personal room instead of my cell phone number. Okay, that's it for setting up your personal room. If you want to do that, if you just want to use your cell phone, you don't need to do any of what we've done so far. Let's flip over to Yellow Schedule. And I'm just going to pretend I just logged in here. See what this looks like. By default, it should come up on the calendar tab. But I want to do a couple settings first. So I'm going to go in the upper right-hand corner here, click on Settings, and click on My Details. This is where you're going to modify your display name to include that phone number that you want to use. Again, mine looks a little different because I want to use my personal WebEx room, which has not only a phone number, but also an access code. And just to make it easier for folks to understand, I'm putting in the 2 hash signs or number signs at the end there as well, which they'll need to enter when they're on that phone. So you just want your display number, your display name to have your full name, first, last, followed by a comma, followed by your phone number. And if you're going to do a WebEx room, you need to have the access code. Next thing you need to change on the same page is make sure that your time zone is accurate for your own time. Mine is Eastern time. And I'm going to save those settings. And you can see confirmation that your settings have been saved here. And next we want to go over to the calendar. So I'm going to click on the calendar tab near the top here. I should have only one name in my users list. I'm going to hover over my own name. And when I hover over it, I see another drop down list button come up at the right side of my name. I'm going to drop that down. And I'm going to hover over working hours, and I'm going to click on edit user working hours. This brings me to the panel that I can use to either add new slots to each day, or delete existing slots, or modify the slots that are there. So for Monday, if my first session starts at 9 a.m., that means my one-on-ones are going to start at 10 a.m. and go for 2 hours. So I'm making myself available for Monday morning, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And in my afternoon session, I have a 1 o'clock facilitated session, which means after that 1 hour facilitated session, I'm going to be available for one-on-ones from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. If I don't need to do the afternoon session, if I'm only doing the morning session, I can simply delete that slot. If on Tuesday, I need not only the morning session, but the afternoon session, I can add a new slot and do whatever I need to do there. If you don't want to get fancy with multiple slots in a day, you can simply slot out, the beginning, the earliest time that you're going to have one-on-ones to the end, the latest time that you're going to have one-on-ones. It's not quite as effective because you may have people who aren't really paying attention to instructions, and they might try to book some slots in between there. But that's just a risk we're going to have to take. But the fancy, the more sophisticated you can get, the more precise you can get with more slots that you need, the better. Okay, so now the yellow schedule is all set up. At this point, we are ready to start our Cisco WebEx session. Again, if I go back to the same place, this is one way I can do it, is simply go back to my home screen. Just refreshing that. I'll go to meetings. Actually, I didn't even need to do that. I had options on that page already, but I can do it here as well. And I should see whichever meetings are coming up next should be at the top of my list here, and all I have to do is click on join. I'm not going to do that because I'm already in an event presenting to you guys, so I'm not going to click that, but clicking on that is going to bring you into the event. If you're logged in to BLI-meetings, then you're going to be ready to go. If, on the other hand, you opt to join through the Cisco WebEx app, and I'm guessing, can you guys see this or no? Is it invisible to you?
I can see it.
Okay, so you see the smaller panel that I'm moving around on my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So you will also have the option of starting meetings right here. So just scroll down or up until to the meeting that you're looking to start, click on start. Now, this is going to require that you be logged into bli-meetings.webex.com. If you're not, then what that's going to do is it's going to open up your Chrome browser instance, and it's going to make you log in. And then you'll just have a separate start button that you can do. So when you're in your meeting, you're going to share screens like you always have. You're going to pull up that PowerPoint presentation so your folks can see it. You're going to
No PowerPoint, Dave. No PowerPoint.
Well, this is the way we're sharing that one slide.
Oh, the one slide. I see it. Got it.
One
Okay.
slide, that's it. We're not doing the regular PowerPoint, but this is just one slide to give the information about how to log on to one-on-ones after the session. So you facilitate your discussion, as we've discussed. You go by the script that EY provided us. I gave you a link in that last email. You wrap it up. Just remember that the information that's showing here is going to be visible only to those who actually have a WebEx connection. For those who called in, which is we're expecting some people to just call in, not be able to see anything, you're going to have to explain this to them. You're going to have to tell them, go to yellowschedule.com, booking/BLI, tell them to select their trainer name and book the slot within the 2 hours of the session, and then tell them when they've booked it and are ready to join, they need to dial that number, and you'll tell them what the number is. If you're doing the private WebEx room, you'll need to give them both the phone number and the event code. Okay, so once that's done, you can simply close out your WebEx session, go back to home in BLI-meetings, and then all you're going to do is, and this is only for the people who want to do the private room, you're simply going to click Start a Meeting. Again, I can't do, actually, yeah, I don't think I can do that now while I have an event going on. But your interface for your private or your personal room is going to be almost identical to your regular WebEx event room. I have a couple of screenshots about some of the things you'd be looking for in that private room, including where to look for the unlock feature. And that's how you're going to let one person in at a time. And then as soon as that person is in, you have to remember to go back and lock it. If somebody comes in that doesn't belong in that meeting, you're going to need to either send them back to the lobby by right-clicking on their name and say send to lobby, or actually eject them from the meeting, whichever is appropriate depending on if they have an appointment with you or not. If, on the other hand, you're using your cell phone, you're all set. You just use your cell phone like you always do. The folks that have made appointments should be calling you at the right time. Please verbally confirm that the person you're speaking with is the person who's scheduled for that 15-minute session. If it's not, you'll have to tell them to call back at whatever time they scheduled so the other person can actually speak with you. And I believe that should be it. Wendy, did I miss anything?
Nope. I need 2 minutes at the end, though.
Well, I was just going to say, let's open it up for Q&A unless you'd rather do your part first, Wendy.
Yeah, let me do mine, then you can end the recording. So we have spent so much time on the technical part, which I'm so grateful for, but I did want to spend 2 minutes on the content. So I just want to remind you that you all have a topic of the day. They would like you to try to stay within that topic. I also want to remind everybody that we never give medical advice at all. They ask a medical question such as, do I wear a face mask? Do I wear gloves? We just refer them to the cdc.gov. That's the one website we're using, not the WHO. We're not using World Health. We're only using CDC. So just be mindful of the fact that, you know, our providers count on us not to give medical advice, but just to support what's going on. The other thing is that we want to remember at the end of that script that EY Assist, not Ernst & Young, EY Assist is one of the major reasons we're there. Actually, all over the news today was about the rise in EAPs. They would prefer not to be called an EAP. Don't refer to it as an employee assistance program. It's EY Assist. So if you have content questions, I'm certainly around. You should always take my cell number with you. I'm real good about returning text real time if you have an issue or a comment, but we want to be very mindful about what advice we're giving. We're not there to give advice. We're there to give real support. It's yours, Dave.
Thank you, Wendy. And I want to chip in too. I wish there were more trainers here to hear this because Wendy and I are extremely grateful. You guys have been more than patient through this process. We know that you've already put in hours just before we've even done our first minute of training. So thank you so much for bearing with us through this process. It's new for all of us. We think it's going to be an incredible experience for all of us, but thank you very much. So yeah, at this point, Judy, Bill, Krista, do any of you have any questions?
I have a question. So can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. If we decide to do our own personal meeting room, so we're giving them, if you can go back to that PowerPoint slide, are they logging into so to attend the last, I guess, address, the HTTPS BLI with our first last name on it?
Exactly.
Are they calling the phone or are they doing both?
They can do either.
Okay.
No, if they join here, then they have the option of either joining by phone or connecting to their audio via the computer.
Okay.
But don't use Dave Brown. You might want to use your own name there.
Yes.
Because I probably won't be there.
I'll
Krista,
call you.
I figured if anyone was going to want to be adventurous and use the private room, I figured it was going to be you.
Yep.
It's really going to be me. I think it'll be fun.
Just be mindful of the fact that this population is not as used to the computer as you might think. So don't be surprised by that. Our prior competitor who we were coming in, they did it on phone. So I don't want to surprise people that, that this might be a little bit of a change for them.
That's fine.
To be fair though, Wendy, what they have to do to get into this meeting, if they want to do it by phone, is going to be identical to the process they have to do to get into the first meeting.
I know. It's true.
So it might be a challenge, and there's no doubt about it, but doing the second meeting shouldn't be any harder than the first one. What else?
Now, let me ask you this. Go ahead.
Good. I think also it has to do with how inviting the trainer makes those 15-minute slots. It's an invitation to a party. So it's really a matter of how you sell it. We would like to show utilization. That's how we show value. Getting those slots filled for the second hour is very important to us because we believe in that, right? We believe in the value of having a one-on-one conversation. So I think it's a matter of the way that you present it in a non-judgmental way to say, wow, 15 minutes, it's a lot of time. We can do a lot of good in 15 minutes. Yep. Krista, sorry, what were you going to say?
No. So if they're calling by phone, that's ringing through to my computer.
If you're on your computer, that's correct. You'll
Okay.
hear them just whichever way they connect, you'll hear them through your computer if that's the way you're connected. Correct.
Okay. So I think my first one is parenting through COVID or something.
Correct.
I just want to talk through this real quick, and I don't know if we need to record this or not, but
No,
Okay.
it's great.
I'll shut down the recording now, I think.
No, keep it going. Keep it going, Dave.
Okay.
Because this.
yeah. So this is the only slide that we're going to have, right? We're going to modify it to our own personal numbers and our own personal emails and all that stuff.
Correct.
So we're basically coming in, introducing ourselves. This is our experience. Let's talk about how we're all working through this kind of thing. We have an hour to have that conversation and share with them that we're opening up the next 2 hours for 15-minute sessions. I would love to jump on a call with you if you have any more questions, if you have anything that is concerning you that you don't want to share with the group, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's more a matter of, I'm more worried about my child and I would prefer not to share that. I do want to remind you, Krista, just because you and I haven't had a ton, we are schooled in what we call positive parenting, right. So, we only believe in unconditional love. And you might want to say that, of experience, you might be unfortunately surprised that it's important to state that, because unfortunately not everybody has the same
Right.
background. So we do believe in positive parenting and unconditional love, but we also know that there are kids out there with special needs. We want to remember about single parents, about, all different, yeah, so all that.
Yep.
It's just the language today, we're really got to be careful about saying husband, wife, or partner.
I usually say co-parent.
Yeah, or just single. I mean, but remember, not everybody's a co-parent.
Right.
There's a lot of single parents, or a lot of, oh, my battery's running low. Hold on. Yeah, just got to be super careful about it.
Dave, I have a couple questions.
Go ahead, Bill.
I couldn't remember for sure because I think we had said more than one thing about this. Do we want to use the video for the first hour?
Good question. I believe we did pose that with EY. Wendy, confirm my recollection, and they said yes if you'd like to.
Look, the studies are pretty clear right now. I should role model it and put mine back on. I'm just feeling a little tired right now, but there's no question in this place that they like it. Having said that, if that's going to prevent you from being the best you, it's not a deal breaker. So what that means is don't spend a lot of time getting the video up and running. Much more important to start on time.
Yeah, I'm comfortable either way. And okay, so my other question, and then you and I, Dave, maybe can talk in a minute about the yellow schedule, because I tried it yet again and I'm still having problems. But the other question is, we make these 2-hour slot, or the 2 1-hour slots after the initial session available to folks. They get to decide which 15-minute slot they want. What happens if we get no takers for the first of the 2 slots, or the first of the 2 hours, but yet people sign up for the third?
Yeah, so I asked her that. I mean, look, it's a good question. It has not happened. So I think, to me, it's about the way you pitch it. I would certainly suggest to them, please sign up for the next available slot. If it were me, that's what I would be doing. I'd be like, we encourage you to go in the next available slot.
Yep.
And just remember, the third hour, it's a volunteer hour unless you are working. So, really encourage them, because for your own time, to say, we encourage you to sign up for the slots as early as possible.
Thank you.
And then please give me feedback on that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Bill, you're going on Monday. Krista, you're not going on Monday. And Judy, I'm not sure. I really want to hear from the Monday people so I can get back to EY. I mean, this is a pretty new program for them too. They've done only 1 week of this. So there's not a lot of data to go on. But it was very, very, very well received, and very well regarded. So we're going into a good situation. Very appreciated. So, Judy, can you chat or talk? I'm not sure now if because it looks like she's on the phone, but maybe not.
Yeah, she's had that since the beginning, so
Okay.
I'm not sure what the issue is.
Okay.
But Judy, you can certainly use your chat feature to let us know if you have any questions.
So you did see that there's some open slots that in the a little bit of freneticness, we're a little unsure if we booked. If you could look at that email and tell us if you're available. I believe there were 2 open slots or 3